everyone, and welcome to Pursue the Pool, the podcast that is geared towards helping people who are looking for a career change or for those who want to pursue their dreams and start their own business. Now, I am your host, Stacey Bevan, and today I am going to do something a little bit different. I am going to talk about how to go from being an employee to becoming an entrepreneur. And I want to talk about this journey because this is something that I have experienced that I found incredibly difficult. And I know there's a lot of people that are currently in this position. And this is why I do the podcast that I do, to get these real life stories from entrepreneurs. And you'll notice that at the beginning of my interview, the first thing I always ask is, how did you make that transition? What did you need to make that transition in terms of resources and money? And it's something that, took me a long time. And when I say a long time, it took me years to make that transition. It was really, really difficult. So I know that I'm speaking to a lot of people out there who are going through or who have been through the same experience that I've had and others are having. So just to give you a bit of background, in addition to the podcast that I do, I am an entrepreneur. I have my own business, and my own business is called SMB Digital. So I am a marketeer by trade. I've been working in marketing for around 20 years now, nearly so, yeah, I'm showing my age. Well, it's been a very long time. So I'm a digital strategist, Google trainer, and I also act as a marketing agency for different organizations. That could be startup companies, but also multinationals. So I've got a lot of experience in that area. Now, you would think with all of that experience and, the fact that I train for Google, so I get a lot more knowledge that I can share, you'd think that I would be super confident when it comes to going it alone and starting my own business, but this has not been the case. There's been times where I've been in a job and I've never felt fulfilled. I always knew that something was missing. I was making these companies a lot of profit. I was building their teams, I was sustaining these teams and developing the people. I was great on the leadership front, but also I was making the company a lot of money just from my marketing knowledge. And I was giving so much knowledge. I was essentially building other people's dreams and not focusing on my own. But I just felt comfortable. And, I really did. I really felt comfortable with getting that monthly wage. I'm a single parent with 2 children. It wasn't easy for me to just be like, right, I've got to go. I'll go and do my own business and, everything will be fine. There was so much fear surrounding that decision, and it was so difficult. I knew I wanted to do it, and I knew that it was just a matter of time before I did, but this time took years. So just to tell you about my mindset when I was employed. So as I said, I was never really fulfilled. There was something missing. I felt like, I'm doing 9 to 5. I'm, waiting for the weekend. I'm not happy. I'm feeling stuck. I don't know what to do. I knew I wanted to start my own business, but how am I going to do that? How am I going to make that transition? I don't have the money to do that. I can't be without money. I've got rent to pay. I've got 2 children to look after. I am the sole provider. How am I going to do this? And it was really hard. And I see so many people that I've worked with in companies and, they're quite depressed, or they're really stressed out, or, not everyone. Some people are happy doing that. And that's nothing against those people. I'm kind of talking to the people that know that they want to work for themselves. So, it was really difficult seeing other people in the same situation that I was in. And a lot of the times, one thing that I knew is that, look, Stacey, if you ever lose your job, you can always make money. You've got so much knowledge in so many different areas, you know, you've got a lot that you can do. But I didn't have the fear that, okay, if I lose my job, oh my gosh, you know. I always thought, well, I can get another job, or, you know, I can try and, you know, work with some other companies on a freelance basis. So my fear wasn't really that, because I thought, if I'm in a job and I don't have another ambition outside of that, you know, I'd be even more depressed. If I don't have my own goals to work towards, then I'd be even more down in my position. But the reason why I was so down and I had so much fear was mainly because of money. Even though I knew that I could be a freelancer, like I say, I've got a lot of responsibilities. Is it going to be enough to sustain the lifestyle that I have, but also to look after my children and pay all my bills? So, you know, it was a really hard time. And there was one point, and this was probably about 6 years ago, and it was actually before I moved to Malta. I did think, okay, you know, let me leave this job. And I did. I left the job because I felt, right, it's time. And I had a lot of fear, but I still did it. But what happened is, while I was getting clients, and I was getting clients, there was a point where I just freaked out. I just sat there and thought, oh no, is this going to work? I had a lot of self-doubt, and I thought, I need to go back into work, you know? And I kept going to my comfort zone for the answers of, you know, how I move forward. And my comfort zone is always going to tell me, you know, go back into full-time employment. And I did, you know, I stopped what I was doing because I freaked out, and I just went and got a full-time job. And, you know, while I was in that job, the pull was still there. And this is, you know, apart from, you know, God, you know, giving me a vision and giving me the name for Pursue the Pull, this pull had never left me. I always had this pull. So if I was in employment, you know, I'd always have this pull that's like, no, you've got to go it alone. You've got to work for yourself. So yeah, I went back into work, same feelings, same thoughts. And then COVID hit. And I came out of work and I thought, right, this is my opportunity. And I did it again. And then what did I do? I got scared again, because I was thinking, I was reading that, you know, people are getting made redundant. There's not much work about. And at this point I was in another country, and I thought, I can't do this. I freaked out again, guys. And I went back into a job. So I was just repeating this cycle and repeating this pattern. And I just wasn't happy. I just knew that, you know, there's something more that I'm meant to do. There's something more that I'm meant to give people. I can give other people a lot more, you know. And I just saw a lot of people in my position, and I know that a lot of people are in the same position. So you look and you think, okay, when is the right time for me to go? Do I need to learn more? Do I need to get more knowledge? How can I make this transition and stick at it? Because what I'm doing is kind of counterproductive, because I'm leaving and then I'm going back into a job, leaving and then going back into a job. So I'm not really getting anywhere. I'm not getting to the place that I want to be, which is having my own business and working for myself. And it's really difficult when you're in that position. But the good news is, I know people are feeling stuck, but you're not actually stuck. There are ways around this. You just have to alter your mindset ultimately, and you just have to make sure that, you know, you are in a comfortable position when you do make that transition. Now, I was hearing, oh, make sure you've got 6 months savings or 12 months savings. And then I heard some people say, look, you've just got to take the risk, you've got to go for it. Because essentially, even though I was trying to build my business part-time, you know, I was putting kind of 50% focus, even less than that, on what I actually wanted to do, because I was so busy in my job. I was working full-time, I was managing huge teams, and my responsibilities and my role in the corporate world was quite on a high level. So the timing required from me was a lot. And I just felt like, you know, I wasn't giving enough I needed to give to this business. I also had restrictions of how much self-promotion I could do and how much I could be out there, because I'm working for a company, so I can't be seen to be promoting my own business if I'm working for a company. So it was difficult, and it's a really hard time, and I understand this with a lot of people. And, you know, we all have that. I think everyone's got this gift. I truly believe that everyone has been born with something, with a purpose and with a gift. And I do know, you know, my purpose, and I did know what my gift was. But again, it was just the fear. It was the fear of, is this going to work? Am I going to be able to support my family? So I had a really tough time with this transition. In fact, it's only been recently that I've made that transition, and I've had to really work on myself. You know, doing my podcast has really helped me, because, you know, that has made me see how other people have done it and how other people have made that transition. But the one thing I didn't know is that, you know, there was something stopping me. And why did I have such a fear? So I did get kind of a bit of advice from a business mentor, and we were going through a lot of discussions, and it boiled down to the fact that this fear stemmed from my childhood. I had something weird about money, and this is so strange how it all came about. I didn't know I was thinking like this. I wasn't conscious of this at all. But after going through a few sessions, you know, I did realize, okay, there's something going on here. And yeah, it turns out that, you know, I was actually scared of success. I saw money as quite bad, and it was stopping me. It was stopping me from being successful and being able to make a lot of money. I had fear against that. And then, you know, the self-doubt came in, and I was putting so much pressure on myself. I was just making life harder, and I was overthinking everything. I was thinking too much about the detail, like, how am I going to do this? And I was over preparing, and, you know, just my whole mindset needed to change. So after having kind of these sessions and having this self-actualization in terms of my mindset, I realized so many things. And one of the things I stopped doing, and I will do another podcast about this because I have been asked to do a podcast on this, but basically, you know, one of the things I stopped doing is drinking alcohol. That really helped me, because when I stopped drinking alcohol, I realized actually I've got more time. I had more energy. It done wonders for me. It changed my environment. It changed the people that I was hanging around with. And not to say they were bad people, they were amazing, lovely people, but we were just on different paths. And I knew that, you know, the path that I was on and the people that were surrounding me weren't the people that I needed to elevate me. I needed a different kind of environment, and I needed to be around people that, you know, had kind of the same mindset that I had. So yeah, one of the things I had to do, you know, I stopped drinking, I changed my environment, I stopped going out. I just really had to sit there and work on myself. I had to get closer in terms of my faith and to God, and I had to do more meditation. I had to really sit back and think about, okay, Stacey, what do you want? I had to look at my future. Where do I want to be? And it's true when they say, you know, you need to look at where you want to be and work backwards. You know, that really does work. It's like, where do you want to be and what do you want to do? And you know, I did eventually make that decision. But again, I still kept thinking, oh no, and getting that fear and still going. And I don't think that ever leaves you. That's what I've realized, like doing the podcast and speaking to other entrepreneurs. I don't think that fear, from what I can see and what the conversation that I had, I don't think that fear ever goes. I think you do just have to push through it. It's always going to be there. So look, I would advise people, you do need a safety net. You do need some savings. So while you're in your current job, I would advise make sure you are saving. You are saving to fuel your passion. You're saving to fuel your purpose. And you're saving to have that end goal of being able to leave. And then you won't have as much pressure, because I do find, like, in my position, of course, I've got a family, I've got responsibilities. So for me, it was difficult putting that pressure on myself. And then you kind of get desperate. And when you get desperate, it comes across when you're trying to sell, you know, and nothing was happening organically. I was just putting pressure on everything because I was so worried about the money, and that's not the way to do it. So have a safety net where it gives you that time to really build up slowly and take your time and make sure that you're not putting so much pressure on the business. So, you know, that is the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is, look, if you are in a job and you are unhappy, you have to have an alternative. You have to be looking at your own goals, and you have to kind of have an exit strategy of what you're going to do when you're going to leave. You know, it is incredibly difficult. It's not a good space to be in. I've been there, and like I say, I've left, gone back, left, gone back, and I still get the fear even now. So look, you just have to slowly make that transition, and you have to kind of plan that transition as well. Planning is really important. Okay, how much savings do I need realistically? How long realistically is it going to take to get the first client? How much money do I need to sustain my lifestyle? But hang on a minute, you know, what can I compromise? You know, what sacrifices can I make? You know, going out eating, for example, and spending money going out eating, is it really necessary? Can you save that money and have that money to go into your business? So it's really important to have these kind of plans and have this pre-plan before you make that jump. I know, like, a lot of people have said, just go for it. Now, look, when you're younger, it's easier to do that when you don't have those responsibilities. So you can just make that jump. And if you are a young entrepreneur, oh my gosh, do it now while you don't have all of these responsibilities. You know, that is the best advice I can give. There's nothing stopping you. You've got to go for it. But if you're, you know, have responsibilities and you've got children, like I say, or you've got bills to pay, you really have to plan. But look, it will happen, and it will happen in time. You just have to make sure you've got the right mindset. If you can speak to, if you've got money to just have, like, speak to a business mentor, speak to a mentor, just to kind of, you know, have that support. Or if you can surround yourself with other people, if you can take time to go to networking events. You know, the most amazing thing for me was going to networking events and meeting people that are going through the same as me. You know, we were all in it together. And this is why, again, I set up this podcast, because I want us to be a community, you know, just having that support from other people, just knowing that other people are going through the same thing and experiencing the same thing as you. It's so valuable. So surround yourself with those people. And, you know, all I can say is you've just got to keep pushing through, but make it your ultimate goal to do that transition. But what does that transition look like for you, where you're not applying that pressure on yourself? So look, like I said, I've still got that fear. You know, if I have to go back into work or I'll go down that road, someone stop me, because, you know, it just doesn't work, you know, because once I go in, I'm going through the same cycle and I'm just wasting time. You know, and I've realised that. And what's that saying? You know, if you do something the same all the time and expect to get different results, it's not a good way to think, because the results are always the same. And like I say, any job that I've gone into, and if I ever did go back, the pull doesn't go, because you know you're meant to be doing something else and you're meant to be working for yourself. And another thing I realised, just one more thing, is, you know, I was really good at building teams, and I was really good at, you know, if I would leave a job, you know, people would come with me. And I look at it now and I think, why don't I become my own employer? Why don't I employ those people myself? If that loyalty's there and I've got that leadership ability where, you know, people do like working for me and people do learn from me and people do stay with me. Why can't I create that myself? So, you know, these are all the thoughts that I've been having, you know, and you've just got to keep going and make sure you have that plan of how you are going to transition. It's important. And, you know, it also makes the job a lot more easier for you to be in. You won't feel stuck because you know that you're planning for something else. And it doesn't matter how small or how much, you know, small amount of time you're putting in or how much amount that you can save. You know, some people can save more than others each month. It doesn't matter how long it takes. You are working towards that goal, and that is what's important. People are too much in a rush, you know, to just go get it started and do this and do that. You know, people are in such a rush, and I was in a rush as well. And look, you know, now it's a bit different, but at the time, you know, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I need to exit now, I need to do this, I can't wait for the savings and so on and so on. But the best position and best place you can put yourself in when you do make that transition, the easier it's going to be on yourself, the easier it's going to be for your family, and the less stress that you are going to have. So that is my advice, you know, make that decision to say that you are going to make that transition. You are going to be an entrepreneur. You are going to start your own business, and just keep working towards that. And like I say, this will stop you from feeling unstuck. It'll stop you from feeling stressed out or depressed in your job, because you know that you are working towards something else. And it doesn't matter if you spend an hour a week on your business, or you can only save 10 euros or whatever it might be a week, or no matter how little it is, just do it. Just do it. It will just make you feel so much better. And eventually you will get that and you will be able to make that transition. So for anyone that has been, you know, looking at their job and looking at their situation, you can change that situation. You know, believe in yourself, believe in your business idea, and just start making that plan. Start doing whatever you need to do to be able to move from being a full-time employee to having your own business and being that entrepreneur that you want to be. Follow your calling, pursue the pull. So look, thank you. I will be doing a lot more of these, and I'll be talking a lot more about my experience, because, you know, I have been through a lot. It hasn't been easy. I've had an awful lot of challenges, and, you know, I ask my guests to be really vulnerable in how it's gone for them and their life, and I will be doing the same. You know, we're one community, and I want us to kind of pull together and support each other. The one beautiful thing that I see is, you know, when I do my podcast with other entrepreneurs, they're so supportive of me and what I'm doing, and, you know, they say, you know, is there anything that I can do? Is there any way that I can help you? And it's just so beautiful. So get that, you know, come into this community and let's all do this together, because it's not easy. There's a lot of challenges. But, you know, my aim is to ensure that this podcast gives everyone the answers that they are seeking. So thank you, and I'll speak to you guys soon. All the best. Bye.